Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate having a chance to welcome everyone this evening for an auspicious occasion, historic occasion, and one that is really born out of love for academic enrichment and growth and community. I'm happy that we have so many wonderful alumni back to be part of this experience, and I know that we're going to enjoy tonight in particular. So again, welcome back everyone. My name, can everyone hear me? Okay, thank you. So my name is Russell Malbrough. I am thank you. I'm originally of class of 1998 and the proud co-founder of the Inman Black Alumni Council with my dear friend and brother, Artis Arnold, at the amazing academic support from our professor, Admiral Terry Morgan, class of 1974, and Karen McLaurin Chesson. And we were so gracious to have this experience together. I've been given a few additional requests, so please bear with me, folks. And if you are still getting your food, we understand that you want to eat. But I've been handed some specific requests from our president of the Brown Alumni Association and some of our distinguished leaders in this community. So folks, can you hear me? If you can, I just wanted to make sure that we recognize this request that came from our Alumni Association president. I was asked and want to make sure we have a presence to acknowledge the very important work that has taken place over this special weekend, the work that has brought over 600 people together in this big tent of love and growth and acknowledgement. Specifically, we have some people who were in the decades of 1960 and prior. I was asked if you would please stand if you went to Brown University and attended from the decades of 1960 and prior. Can you please stand? Can you please stand? The 1960s, 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 1960s and prior. Thank you for the 1960s. I was also asked to acknowledge, I'm going to keep going this route. You think you know where I'm going. 1970s, would you please stand to be acknowledged? Thank you, 1970s. 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 All right now. All right now. Yes. So next, 1980s, would you please stand? Would you please stand? 1980s, would you please stand? 1980s, the largest decade that came, 1980s, thank you for coming back. 1980s. All right now, 1980s, and 1990s, my 1990s, thank you. Thank you, 1990s. Yes. Russ. 2000s, the 2000s are here. The 2000s are here. The 2000s are here. Yes, thank you. Thank you, 2000s. And last but not least, the 2010s. 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 All right. Wow, so that's a fun way to get this started. I know, as we have just seen, I know you've had an invigorating and thought-provoking day of workshops and love and reconnection for this weekend. And I've heard throughout the various workshops that they were not only interesting, but they represented a dynamic evolution of the Black community at Brown and beyond. I want to especially thank the experience of our university leadership who has come out for this dinner, for our workshops, for Friday, and for your incredible support of all of the thought around this. And have the special honor to really thank our University Chancellor, Sam Menkoff, who is with us here tonight. Thank you, Sam. Sam is without a doubt one of the most compelling ambassadors for Brown. He has a deep involvement with the Brown Together campaign, which I know we're all familiar with, and with the senior administration to lead accelerated success on a number of academic and campus life fronts. Mr. Menkoff, thank you for making time to be with us this evening. Among all the things you could be doing, we appreciate your presence and recognize the importance of the Black Alumni Reunion for the wider scope of Brown's venerable history. It's truly, truly appreciated. It's my distinct pleasure now to welcome and introduce President Paxson, in our seventh year for president of presidency of Brown University. President Paxson has been presiding over a transformative period for Brown, marked by focus on increasing financial aid, a strong focus on increasing financial aid, an incredibly strong focus on increasing financial aid, and support for underrepresented students with an emphasis on expanding both ethnic and academic diversity of our faculty, and to drive and ensure that Brown scholarship and research addresses the most pressing issues facing society. A distinguished scholar and an outstanding teacher in her own right, she has a broad understanding of Brown's strengths and opportunities that exist within higher education to have a sustained impact on the nation and throughout the world. Through her strategic plan for the university and her establishment of the Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan, she's incorporated the thoughts and needs of a variety of stakeholders, and many of you in the room have contributed to that conversation. She's demonstrated her commitment to maintaining Brown's place as the forefront of undergraduate education, research, and service, and obviously leadership in our graduate spaces as well. We are grateful for her leadership and support for not only the Black Alumni Reunion, but a host of other diversity issues and initiatives that have been undertaken throughout the community. President Paxson, you've been with us out throughout this weekend, and thank you for coming on stage now to please join me in welcoming her as our academic leader. Thank you, President Paxson.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Russell, for that very nice introduction. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic day. Did you? Okay. Good. Good. I just want to begin by thanking everybody for the gift of this reunion. In the last 24 hours, I have been moved by everything. Listening to your stories, hearing the joy of rekindled friendships, and the discussions that have been taking place all over the campus with the current students and among yourselves, just incredible. So thank you. I want to thank the reunion co-chairs, Cheryl Brissett Chapman and Rosetta Hillary, for their extraordinary leadership. And thanks as well to the members of the steering committee, the advancement staff, the people from offices across the university for their hard work to shape this reunion. And of course, I want to thank Sam Menkoff. The lights are very bright. Where's Sam? Right there. And for being here, our chancellor. And he is joined by many current and emeritus corporation members here tonight. And I was wondering if all of you could stand. Current corporation emeritus members, you're here. You're here. Yeah. So thank you. Tonight we celebrate a rich and profound history of Black legacy in all of its resilience in the world and all of the ways that it's woven into the fabric of Brown University. And there is no better, and I mean no better way, to celebrate Black legacy at Brown than to hear from our keynote speaker, Brown President Emerita Ruth Simmons and current president of Prairie View. 5 more minutes, so you gotta wait for Ruth. But it really is. So when Ruth was inaugurated as the 18th president of Brown, she arrived with an abiding trust in the belief that all things are possible, that she was the granddaughter of slaves and the first African American president of an Ivy League institution. Those two things lent that trust enormous credibility. And premier institutions like Brown, she believed, must honor that trust, in part by assuring that they are accessible to bright, exceptionally talented students from all backgrounds. And in her legacy interview from the BAM in 2012, she noted the following. She said, quote, "If you've been mired in poverty at any juncture and you get to know the capabilities of people in very poor communities, you're the first to recognize that there is as much talent and brilliance in that community as in any other." So, her enlightened thinking really changed the environment at Brown, and it gave further voice and power to advocates who followed in the footsteps of those who participated in the 1968 walkout, the people we've been celebrating over this weekend. And it opened space for this bold and long overdue examination of Brown's ties to slavery carried out by the Committee on Slavery and Justice at Brown. And I have to say, I've been astonished over the past several years when lots of other universities are kind of feeling their way through this issue, and they're grappling with their histories, and Brown and Ruth Simmons are routinely cited as the institution and the leader that had the courage to be first. So the Brown of today and tomorrow owe an enormous debt of gratitude to the foundation that everybody in this room have worked so hard to build. And there's a lot more to be done. We know that. But we've come so far over 50 years. In my time as president, it's been an honor to advance this work. And we have done a lot of work through carrying out the Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan that a lot of you have heard about over the past day or so. I believe that tone is set at the top, has to be. And today, I'm really proud that over 18% of the members of the Brown University Corporation are Black. I'm proud that my cabinet now includes more Black members than when I arrived, and that our dean of the graduate school and our dean of the admissions identify as Black. And in the past 3 years, we've hired just an enormous number of incredible faculty members. People like string theorist and national member of science recipient Jim Gates, who's come to Brown. I have to say, some other institutions a little farther north tried very hard to get him, and they didn't. We did. I like that. Juliet Hooker, a political scientist who recently won a major award from the American Political Science Association for her new book on theorizing race in America. She's here now as a tenured professor. And just this fall, we have a new assistant professor, Ramel Ross, whose film Hail Country this evening was the winner of a U.S. documentary special jury award for creative vision at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival. And These faculty and others, it's no surprise, they're attracting outstanding students. And it's no surprise that 30% of incoming domestic master's and doctoral students identify as members of historically underrepresented groups. And far more important than these numbers is the rising confidence that this campus is a place where people feel like they belong, and a place where students and faculty from every background want to be. This is a place where people want to come, and that's what I want to accomplish while I'm here. So yes, there is much more to do. We all know that, but there's a palpable sense of the momentum that's coming from Brown University, and all of you are part of that, so I thank you for that. Now, you know, I'm an economist. I love numbers. We're tracking the numbers on people and survey data and every other thing to assess our progress. But I also know that beyond the numbers, symbolic actions, they matter. They matter as well, very, very tangibly. Consider the power of the Slavery Memorial, which is just outside of my office window. If I stand up at my desk and I look out, I can see it there, which is great. And this sculpture, which was erected on the recommendation of the Committee on Justice and Slavery and Justice, it stands as a permanent memorial recognizing Brown's role in the transatlantic slave trade. That's a wonderful thing. And it stands as a constant reminder of a university community that aspires to be better. That's important. Sometimes symbolic action takes other forms. Sometimes it takes the form of recognizing the legacy of accomplished Black alumni who might have fallen into obscurity, like we did last night when it was announced that J. Mayo Williams, class of 21, and that's not 2021, that's 1921, that he would be inducted into the Brown University Sports Hall of Fame. So, for those of you who weren't at last evening's dinner, Mayo Williams was one of the first 3 Black players in the newly formed NFL in 1920. And he, along with Paul Robeson and Fritz Pollard, class of 19, were members of the NFL in its first year. Now, perhaps more important, Williams was the preeminent producer of Black R&B records in the first half of the 20th century, and he was elected to the Blues Hall of Fame, the National Blues Hall of Fame, in 2004. So it's great that we're finally recognizing him here at Brown as well. Now, sometimes symbolic action may take the form of renaming a campus building. And that's what I'm going to announce right now. So tonight, I am delighted to tell you that the Brown University Corporation has enthusiastically voted to rename a College Hill building in honor of 2 iconic Black alumni, Inman Page and Ethel Robinson. So I probably don't have to tell you the history. You all know that Inman Page was born into slavery. He sought liberty and opportunity, and he found them at Brown. He went on to teach and mentor and lead and break down barriers in higher education as the president of not one, but several colleges and universities. Ruth, this sounds kind of familiar. And today, he is the namesake of Brown's Black Alumni Council. Now, Ethel Robinson, she broke a color barrier and a glass ceiling when she graduated as the first Black woman from Brown in 1905. Ethel, she went on to teach English at Howard University, and she was instrumental in founding the first black sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. The thing that I love about Ethel is she has relatives, descendants of her little sister Cora, who followed her to Brown, who live in Providence and are with us this evening. So please join me. Please join me in acknowledging Michael Van Leesten and his family tonight. I think they're sitting right there. Seems really happy. Nobody wants to know what the building is. Do you want to know what the building is? So let's talk about which campus building will be renamed in their honor, effective in the spring semester of 2019. So let me tell you how we thought this through. Given the historical and academic significance of the renaming, we undertook a very thoughtful, deliberative process in consultation with alumni who are here this evening in choosing the right building to bear the Page Robinson name. We wanted a building that was at the heart of campus. We wanted one that every student, faculty member, and staff member use on a regular basis, and one that serves as a center of classroom activity, teaching and learning, the core of the Brown experience. And we wanted a building that was recently renovated in great shape. And we wanted one that was renameable. That took out a few. So the building we settled on is the J. Walter Wilson Building. As many of you may know, J. Walter Wilson, the building, was built as a biology laboratory, and so it was appropriate when it was built to name it in 1962 for J. Walter Wilson, the person who was a beloved biology professor, and we will continue to honor him. But J. Walter Wilson is no longer a biology building. It's no longer a laboratory building. It is now Brown's main building for university and student services. It's located right across Waterman Street from Fonz Arch. It houses financial aid, the Office of International Students and Scholars Services, the Mail Center, very important in the life of students, the chaplain's office, classrooms, seminars, and much more. And I have to say, every student and faculty member and staff member who's here at Brown knows where this building, which will, starting in the spring semester, become Page Robinson Hall, is. So friends, let us welcome this new building to the Brown campus. Thank you so much. And now I want to cede the podium to the person who I think all of us have been really waiting to hear from. I think somebody's probably going to introduce her. I'm looking, who's doing the introduction? Russell will, for Ruth Simmons. So thank you, welcome, have fun. Thanks.
Love you too. Thank you, President Paxson, for your incredible leadership, and corporation members, Chancellor Menkoff, all of our corporation who have been here today, President Simmons for coming back, and being able to stand here and thank you in this presence of our reunion for the specific goal that was outlined through student leadership and work in a drive to recognize history and recognize our next steps. This has been more. Yeah, sorry. It's been more. I have to do this right. Thank you. I have to do this right for so many different reasons, and I was trained right, and my parents would, both Dexter Malbrough and Alice Malbrough would make sure that I read the important work that has gone into this moment, and President Simmons graciously said she doesn't need an introduction, but in her introduction I have to share some very important remarks. So I'm doing this, and thank you for the pause for this experience. Excuse me. So I will read what is on this paper and secede the moment to our distinguished honoree, but I have to make sure that we continue to focus in. Pardon me. Okay, got it. So, very, very real, as we know. So, I'm gonna read through this. Can we have a seat? Babe, can we have a seat up? L, thank you, good. If you're okay. Thank you, Xavier.
I have it on good authority that Earl Hunt has to drive back to New York tonight, and he asked that we not take too long, so.
Okay, got it, Earl. Yes, and also our sponsor, not taking too long. So, President Paxson, you obviously, have made history in this moment. Your presence at the reunion in support of our Brown University affinity goals have set a great example for other institutions of higher education throughout this country. This announcement has set a bar throughout this country. I'm going to ask now our past presidents of IPC to come join me on stage to get to the next piece of this experience, and future president to come up as well. Please, thank you. Past presidents. So I'm asking you all to come up at this point. Yes. Tonight we recognize the courage, initiative, and hard work behind making a Black legacy of Brown and the pathway to social change and inclusivity within the boundaries of College Hill that's taken many twists and turns, but will continue to be a labor of love for all of us who value the university's overarching mission and hope to see its doors open to more deserving students and faculty each passing year. For this reason, it is deeply meaningful that we welcome back President Emerita Ruth J. Simmons, the first Black president of Brown University in the Ivy League, which we already know. President Simmons, the time at Brown that you have been here has changed so many people's lives, and including the folks who are on the stage who had the pleasure of working with you. Indeed, your entire career from the academy Spelman, Smith, and beyond has been marked with tenacious commitment to removing obstacles to achievement for others and fearlessly addressing the history and structures which we must reckon with if we are to cultivate a truly diverse and enlightened group of future leaders. Excuse me. Yeah, this is. So it was been assigned to me by our esteemed co-chairs, both past presidents of Inman Page Black Alumni Council, Cheryl and Rosetta, who gave me this important assignment to share the significance of your work with IPC specifically. You have blessed us to hold a time where we both inaugurated you, Javette, as a BAA Alumni Association president, and Mark Winston Griffith as a Brown Inman Page first president of the council. We have been incredibly thankful for both your gifts that were gracious to our community, from first and foremost your time and presence, sitting if it was 50 of us in a classroom or in a lecture hall, coming to annual meetings, being 250 of us at the New York Public Library in the Schomburg Center, or traveling this weekend far and wide to be with 600 plus of us. We secondly thank you for your financial commitments over the years to grow our community. Little girls from Crown Heights in Brooklyn, at Church College fairs and career fairs know that Brown exists because of you. And I know this is the same in Chicago and LA and Birmingham and the African continent. You are a multilingual national treasure. You, Miss Lee, Beverly Bond, Lynn Nottage, you are all Black women magic, and you are an authentic and unwavering role model. Dr. Simmons recently came out of retirement to become the 8th president of Prairie View A&M, a historically Black college near Houston, Texas, where half of the students' school population identifies as either first generation and their families to attend college. There, she's working to improve graduation rates by increasing scholarship aid, academic advising, and recruit and sustain demanding faculty. As we know, this has been a driving force in the acumen and position of Prairie View and its incredible standing as an outstanding higher education learning institution. And as a token of our appreciation, we wanted to share that President Simmons has both invested in the Brown community and the Black community here, and we, the past and present members of IPC, wanted to do something special to assist her with her work at Prairie View. So tonight, we will gladly share that with support from the IPC leadership, our friends, and many of you who are in this audience, we were able to raise $14,450 to be contributed to Educational Support Scholarship in the name of your family foundation. Also, thankfully, graciously, an additional $10,000 has been contributed from Brown University Advancement to bring our total to $24,450 to your family foundation. We cannot thank you enough for your work ethic, your community focus, your brilliance, your bridge building, your grace, your accessibility, your openness, your vision, your support, your education, your nonsense, your caring, your excellence, and your excellence. Your excellence. Stop. Thank you. We would like to also present a very special gift that is sitting right behind Preston. And this, in addition to the financial contribution to your family foundation, is a gift that we're privileged to give with you, the inaugural Black Legacy Award from Brown University Inman Page Black Alumni Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, what a surprise. You say you did very well. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. I am Earl has to get back to New York, so it is so wonderful to be invited back to campus in this moment. As I think about all of the events that I've been to over the course of my relationship with Brown, honestly, I can't think of none better than this one. That's fact. I want to thank you, Christina, for wow. On the one hand, it's about time. On the other hand, your leadership of this university brings so much more to it. I thank you for everything you've done to enhance this place, to make it stronger, to make it better, to make it a shining light among so many institutions trying to do their best, but not quite making it. Harvard. So I am, now I don't want anybody to tell Larry Baker that I said that. But I am so proud to be associated with this great university. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Now, let me say this. I am floored by your generous efforts to provide funding for my university and my students. I have to tell you that there's very close association already between Prairie View and Brown. First of all, I learned very recently that the reason I was asked to come to Prairie View is because a faculty member at Brown gave them my name and said I was retired and living in Texas. They didn't know that. So, secondly, soon after I started there, the horrendous flooding took place in Houston. And I think you should know that the first people that I heard from were people from Brown sending money to help the relief effort on our campus. Unbelievable. I have to say, too, that Pablo and Joan Sorensen have been kind enough to endow a scholarship at Prairie View. Pablo and Joan, thank you so much for your generosity. So, give me your business cards, because I will be in touch with you. Now listen, you have to give to this university. You have to. I was reminded tonight by someone who said that I often said when I was here that you must not be a visitor and you must not be a supplicant here. You must own this place. It is yours. But if it is yours, you must give back to it. and also to Prairie View. So there are so many people here who are, I can't even begin to say how wonderful they are and how wonderful they have been to me. I want you to know that in this room, our next commencement speaker is sitting here tonight. I don't think I can announce it because it hasn't been announced yet. Deborah Lee. No, but you can't tell you cannot tell anybody about that because the campus doesn't know about that. This is not being taped, is it? Oh dear, oh well. And then I want to cite for all of you how fortunate you are to have in Sam Minkoff, the chancellor of this university. He is someone that I love dearly. He is always on the right side of every issue, and you know how hard that is. He is dedicated to this university. He gives himself fully. He is generous of spirit. Sam, I was so delighted to hear that you were assuming this role. I know under your watch, this university will be better than ever. You're working with Christine and doing for this university, nothing could be better. Now listen, I get the fact that this is celebratory and so on, but you know, I've never given a light speech in my life. And so I apologize for the tenor of some of the things I'm going to say. But what can I do? That's who I am. First, let me say, having recently signed on to lead another university, I'm frequently asked to compare Brown and Prairie View. A ridiculous question that inevitably implies another question, which is, why did you agree to lead a less prestigious institution? That question, implicit or overt, gives me a chance once again to return to my very familiar narrative that all students are deserving of a good education. So I'm very pleased to follow in the tradition of those who came before me at Brown to open doors through which I entered to lead this very special place. Is it not remarkable how actions, courageous and selfless actions like those we celebrate tonight, carried out in the service of others, can reach so far beyond our immediate intent? The students planning the 1968 walkout could not have envisioned where those proud steps would lead. As it turns out, they led beyond Congdon Street Baptist Church into the annals of the historic struggle for equal opportunity in America. So I congratulate you all on coming together to acknowledge the history and to recommit to the struggle for equal rights in America, for sadly, it remains an elusive goal. As I begin a new assignment as president of Prairie View, I've been reflecting on all that I've experienced over a life that has spanned from segregation to the civil rights struggle, to affirmative action, to the first Black president of Brown, to the current movement to roll back advances in diversity and inclusion. We meet at a moment when we are perched on the precipice of reinstituting the bigotry that gave rise to the myriad isms and ills that have so long stymied the progress of this nation. My students and others often ask me, Ruth, what are we to do in the current climate? I think this celebration is an opportunity to examine closely and honestly the ways in which our actions and inactions not only contribute to the reawakening of bigotry, but also either undermine or support a positive environment in which young people can feel safe and thrive at the top of their ability. Our obligation is to them. I believe that we still have the opportunity to do good and to ensure that the nation is on the right path, to hasten the day when all citizens will be equal partners and equal beneficiaries in this great human experiment. We have a chance to commit ourselves to no longer being pawns in the sinister work of holding some groups back. It's time to consider in this era how we can reclaim our rightful voices, set the highest goals for ourselves, stand up for our rights, step forth again for justice, and live out our lives on our own terms. In truth, few of us have escaped a certain kind of conditioning that is common today in the world. That is, that atavistic call of mankind back to ancient instincts that regard certain groups as weak, certain groups as secondary, certain groups as less important, certain groups as less able. We know that for the longest period of time, false science was used to block access of certain groups to equal opportunities. And one of the most memorable fake scientific assertions was the notion that women couldn't be given advanced education because the strain from rigorous intellectual activity would cause their reproductive organs to atrophy. So for the good of the species, fake scientists argued higher education should be withheld from women. Sounds rather familiar to the fake science used to block educational access to African Americans and others. And make no mistake about it, there is an effort underway right now to end affirmative action. And when it gets to the High Court, it is almost certainly going to be removed as a means of advancing opportunity in this country. So the practice of denigrating and withholding opportunities from certain groups has been a part of human history, really, I suppose, since the earliest days of the species. Being aware of the ways in which we have over centuries been conditioned to endure this kind of treatment, it is rather surprising we're still today at the dawn of the greatest advances in human rights. Still. But it's really the dawn. So much remains to be done before human beings will feel the full freedom and enjoy the security that is their God-given right. So this is a good moment to reflect on the ways in which our silence empowers the abuse and neglect of other human beings. It is a good moment to contemplate what our individual responsibilities are to the welfare of all. I wandered up the hill today and happened upon the first-year students. Oh my goodness. It is a marvelous thing to see them with their aspirations, but all of you in this room obviously have a debt to them, and that is they are going to falter, they're going to become discouraged, they're going to have moments when they think it isn't worth it, and you must be in a position to pick them up and carry them when they need you. So it is never enough, though, to merely hope or to just cheer people on from the sidelines. We have to take the necessary steps to assure ourselves that we are not part of the problem. How? By rigorously examining our own actions, motivations, and commitment. To what extent are we engaged in the cause of justice? What affirmative steps are we taking to support, mentor, and encourage those who lack access to basic human rights and needs? I am so pleased, in a way, to be back in my old community where I grew up, because it taught me something to see the neighborhoods where I grew up. And when I grew up there, I thought it was so abjectly poor. And guess what? Today, it is more abjectly poor. We can't ignore those things. I am trying to immerse myself in knowledge about what's really going on in the country, because we have the means to isolate ourselves and not have to live with that, not have to see it, but we need to see it. How are we utilizing our voices to speak up for those who do not have the same level of safety and autonomy to protest unfair treatment? Persistence in upholding our commitment will in the end have an effect on the outlook of those young people that I saw on the green today. Of all the ills that the struggle for equality reveals, none is as pernicious as the belief by so many that they are inferior and therefore undeserving. This idea is implanted in young people's psyches, suppressing their pride and independence, and this belief metastasizes without the life-affirming and positive messages that counteract such inclinations. A strong and empowering education can overturn notions of dependency and inadequacy, and that's why I'm at Prairie View today. Public policy that enacts policies and remedies and acts on egregious and oppressive actions can lead to improved safety for vulnerable groups who do not have the strength on their own to combat neglect and abusive actions. Each of us should redouble our efforts tonight, thinking about those brave young people who walked out. It may not seem like much today, but in that era, it was something to do that. It was brave. So that should inspire us to redouble our efforts to lift up our youth with a word of encouragement, a pat on the back, a helping hand. In this moment, we can also make great strides by ridding ourselves of the notion of limitations, the limitation of thinking small, the limitation of that's too hard, the limitation that someone else should do it, the limitation of being invisible and speaking too soft. One of the saddest things I ever heard was from a person in a corporation where I went to speak who said that he, an African-American man, tall, handsome African-American man, who said that when he met with his colleagues, he physically shrank himself so as not to intimidate them. How sad is that? We must not be invisible, and we must not feel we're obligated to speak softly. The limitation of consigning ourselves to accept imposed narratives. You can't write my narrative. I write that every day that I live. Let us not accept imposed narratives. This is a moment for truth and for truth telling. Tell your truth. Tell your truth every day. Tell it when people don't want to hear it. Tell it when people don't want to listen, because children are watching you to see if you dare tell your story. So, those who walk through life with the confidence that they matter have solved for the dilemmas that come with being the other. We are not born with such confidence. We earn it every day that we confront unfairness, every day that we challenge ourselves to become more self-aware, every day that we stand up not only for ourselves, but for others unjustly stereotyped, every day that we accept responsibility for supporting those who share our fate, for the bonds among us must always be stronger than the differences and disagreements that divide us. Those bonds, if strengthened, will lead to a better world for all of us. And so in the tradition of the student protest that opened doors for so many, let us agree, we will persist in efforts to defeat bigotry until victory is won. Thank you so much for having me back.
Thank you, President Simmons. This has been a terrific experience, and I feel truly blessed to be part of this very supportive community. Folks, you are a supportive community, and your work to support this community has happened in many different ways. You've contributed to the lives of our students coming forward. You have contributed, folks, you have contributed to the lives of our students coming forward in a number of different ways, and as President Simmons, President Paxson, our Senior Vice President for Advancement, Sergio Gonzalez, and our esteemed bar, Black Alumni Reunion, who are listening to this very important sharing of what has been asked to make sure we recognize the contributions that continue to happen throughout this weekend and right now. So your community, you have contributed to initiatives that have helped to grow and value our work moving forward, such as the Investment for Diversity Scholarship for Financial Aid, such as the Third World Transition Program Endowed Fund, such as the Africana Studies Endowed Fund, such as the Inman Page Black Alumni Council Endowed Fund #1, and we're going to have a #2, thanks to your contributions and support for our students moving forward, those first years and the ones coming behind. A $100,000 goal has been set for our Black Alumni Council to make sure we can contribute to students learning here at Brown moving forward, and we want to make sure that you know how to do that. Our amazing advancement department has given us so many tools and opportunities to contribute to lives of usefulness and purpose, and Kimberly Nelson has some information that will be shared with you to be able to contribute directly. I personally feel re-energized by both the camaraderie and positivity of this experience over the weekend. We have 3 special people who've contributed more than you can ever imagine for this night. And I would like to bring up to the stage our co-chairs, Cheryl and Rosetta, as well as our amazing Valerie Cordero from Advancement Division for just a very special thank you right now. Thank you. So the folks who are coming up to the stage have put in years of work to make sure this experience would happen. Cheryl, you did not. I know. That is script, and as my theatrical director is telling us that this is not in the script, but our committee wanted to make sure we acknowledge all of your hard work, your dedication, time, and energy for the conference calls, the emails, the writing of scripts, for our recognition of the walkout, and all the people who have been influenced by your dedication and work over the year. We cannot have this experience without all of your leadership, and you have brought us together in a new way here for this evening. We thank you so much. Thanks. So as we connect back to the next steps, we know that arc of the moral universe is long, but bends towards justice. And I have the opportunity to bring together some of our amazing undergraduates tonight. One of them who has sung earlier this morning and this afternoon at the Black Student Union Convocation. It's also recognized her impact in her art, but also that she is a member of a special organization that is celebrating 45 years and have come through to make sure that they were here in mass, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We thank all of the appreciation of making sure this reunion for you for 45 years connected with the Black Alumni Reunion has led to our success. And you have invested in mentoring undergraduates and continue to do the work of making sure that we have a space for volunteering. You have all been asked how to volunteer. We will tell you what is coming next from our Iron Page Black Alumni Council, and we look forward to hearing the amazing sounds of Shades of Brown, and I'll have that as conclusion for this evening. Thank you so much. Welcome to Shades of Brown.
Shades of Brown is a multicultural, multi-ethnic, all-gender a cappella group rooted in the African-American tradition. We are so honored to be here singing for you all in commemoration of this momentous occasion, the first ever Black Convocation and the 50th reunion of the 68 Walkouts. We also would like to invite any past or former Shades members to stand up and make some noise, make yourself known, because we are so excited to see y'all and carry on this legacy. Come on, come on. And if you want to come talk to us after, that would be beautiful. So everyone, please, we would enjoy you to sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I feel for you. I feel for you. I think I love you. Oh, I feel for you. Oh, I feel for you.
Thinking of you for quite a while. You're on my mind every day and every night. My every thought is you. The things you do, yeah, seem so satisfying to me. I must confess it, girl, I can't. You send chills up my spine every time I take one look at you. Ooh, I can't. Oh, you're blowing my mind with the things you do to me. I like the way you comb your hair, and I like those stylish clothes you wear. It's just the little things you do that show how much you really care. Like when I'm all alone with you, you know exactly what to do. You put the fire inside of me and make him more than just a dream. Ooh, I like it. And chills up my spine every time I take a look at you. Boy, you're blowing my mind with the things you do to me.
Run this by you just one more time. You'll run my mind every day and every night. My every thought is you. The things you do seem so satisfying to me. I must confess it, girl. I get chills down my spine every time I take one look at you. Girl, you're blowing my mind with the things you say to me. I like the way you comb your hair. I like the stylish clothes you wear. It's just the little things you do that show how much you really care. Like when I'm all alone with you, you know exactly what to do. You got a fire inside of me, and that is more than just a dream. I'm falling, I swear. Say it, baby, I like every little thing you do, the way you comb your hair, and every little thing you do that shows how much you care. Baby, every time I take one look at you, how you chills up and down my spine. And I like it, I like it, I All right, so it seemed that y'all really enjoyed that. Yeah? So we think we're gonna give you one more treat. Just one more treat.
Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy.